So for the third row, still using the small rose cutter, we're going to cut out about 5 to 6 rose petals. So I'm actually just finishing up cutting out 6 of these. I'm actually going to put this one here. And the only reason why I say cut out an extra one is just in case you lay your petals a little too close to each other, an extra one isn't necessarily a bad thing. So your rose will still look good. Alright, but normally roses are worked in odd numbers. Sometimes mine work in even numbers. It all just depends on how you're putting your rose together. So just keep that in mind when you're working with it. So don't get frustrated if it wasn't exactly 5 and you had to add like 6 or 7. It all just depends on how you're putting it together. So moving along, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing like we did with the first 2 rows. We're just going to thin out the petals. Just remember, a little bit of pressure. You don't want to tear your petals. Just firm enough to thin out the edges. I'm actually going to do this to the rest of mine. Now, if this is your first time working on a rose, I suggest that you do a petal, 1 petal or 2 at a time, just so you can get a feel for it and your petals won't dry out so fast. But the more you do this, the faster you'll get at it. So practice, practice, and practice. So we're going to do the same thing like we did with the second row, and we're going to fold in the left top edge. So just roll it in or curl it in. Okay? And like I said before, if you can't do it holding it up, just do it with your petal laying down on your foam pad and just roll it. Alright, and it's just as easy. Oops. There we go. And this could be curled down a little more. Okay, so flip your petals over. Always remember to do that. If you don't, then you'll have a crazy looking rose and you'll be wondering, what did I do wrong? So always remember to flip your rose petals over. Alright, and I'm just gonna take some egg whites and I'm just gonna apply some, just going halfway up on the left side of my petal, and I just put a little bit on the right. For now, I'll probably be adding a little bit more glue on the right side once I start applying these. So I'm just gonna do this quickly. There we go. Okay, and now here's the trick. You're going to take a little bit of the petal from your previous row and just gently pull it out a little bit. Okay, it's okay if it tears a little bit. Don't worry, nobody's going to see that. Okay, and taking your first petal, you're just going to place it inside just a little. Nothing too dramatic. Okay, this is actually going to create a bit of a swirl effect in your rose. But you just got to do it a little bit. You don't have to put it all the way inside. So I'm just going to show a close-up of it of what it should look like. So when we come back around, we'll just add a little bit more glue to glue this back down. Alright, so just a little bit, nothing crazy. Okay. And so we're actually just going to go around this rose. I think this one is a little too low. There we go. Alright. And we're just going to place each petal, trying to place it evenly, just inside, if you guys can see that. Perfect. And it's okay if they kind of flop around right now, because we're probably just going to adjust them before we actually press them all down together. Okay. Alright. And so I'm just going to go around and press the right side down that I didn't put a lot of glue on. I didn't put a lot of glue on that edge. Okay, and I can already tell I need to move one over just a little bit. I'm actually going to try and place 5 on here. And it looks like it might work. It just might work. And that was not my attempt to start singing, so don't. Here we go. Perfect. It actually worked this time. Yay! And it's okay to pull your petals a little bit. You can pull and stretch them. There should be a little bit of stretch to them. Okay, so there is the third row, and that is what it should look like. Now let me just give you a little close-up, and there you have it. Very pretty. And just take your finger, curl down any edges you want to fix, just like that. Very pretty, very pretty. And as you can see, you can kind of see where we tucked in that first petal right here. And a lot of people don't notice, but what they do notice is as you continue to build your rows, it'll just kind of swirl out, and it's a very pretty look. So, all right, let's go ahead and continue to the fourth row. We are almost finished. Right, so for the fourth row, we're actually going to be using the middle size cutter. You're going to cut out about 7 to 8 petals. Again, always have an extra petal just in case. So we're going to go ahead and put this to the side because I already cut out some to make this go by faster. Now I'm just going to do a few at a time. Okay. Black piece there. And you're just going to do the same thing that you did to the previous rows. So we're just going to go ahead and thin out the edges. Again, you don't have to make them frilly, just make sure they have a nice wave to them. And this is the part that gets me really happy because that means I'm almost done with my rows. So it's always a good, nobody's going to see that. Okay, perfect. So for this row, we're actually going to curl down the left and a little bit of the right. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. So curl down the left side, and then we're going to curl down some of the right side. Look at that. And probably curl down a little bit more of the left than the right. But it should look something close to that. And you can take your fingers and roll it in a little more. And this is where your spoons will come in handy. Okay, so I'm actually just going to take out my spoons here. You can kind of see them in the camera. Just going to place them down. And make sure that you just kind of press the center into the dip of the spoon because you want it to kind of have a dip. Okay, and then just make sure that edges kind of they curl on the outer part of the spoon, like that. Now, say you don't have spoons, no problem. I'll show you what else you can do here. Okay, so we're just, like I said, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to curl down both ends. Okay, and then flip it over, and you're going to take your ball tool. I'm going to zoom in on this for you so you guys can get it good. Let's see this good real quick. And you're just going to dip. You're going to actually create your own dip in your petal. If it sticks a little bit, just pat a little cornstarch inside of it. Okay? And it'll create a nice little dip inside. Okay? So you just want to make sure that these last two rows have a nice little dip inside the, you couldn't see my hand doing that, a little dip inside the rows there. Let me back this up. Okay, so let me finish these. Now my gum paste is drying a little bit, so I need to move a little faster. I think it's this fancy crafting light I got right here. It's making my gum paste dry out a little bit faster than normal. That's alright. Okay. So we're going to do this to the last four that I've got right here. And then we're going to apply it to our petals. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and apply the fourth row. I'm going to add the fourth row of petals. And doing what we did in the previous row, we're just going to peel back a little bit of the previous petal. And you're going to take your first petal and just place it just gently, kind of resting inside that previous row there because we're still trying to create a nice swirl, right? And then just go ahead and do the same for each petal right here. Okay. And just try and keep them even and as straight as possible. This one kind of bent kind of crazy. Okay. Alright. And I actually do work with my roses kind of facing up. It's a little easier for me so I can just see what it's looking like. I know some people turn them over and apply the petals that way, but this way is easier for me. And I'll actually just show you how to do it the upside, having your rose petal face upside down method, in case that's a little easier for you. So we're just applying some more glue, a little bit on the left side, on the right side, just halfway up. Okay, and you're just gonna keep placing the left side down. Don't press your right side just yet. Okay, just keep doing. Okay. And that so far is looking pretty good. Just need to make sure I'm spacing them out evenly. Sorry guys, sometimes this gets a little crazy. There we go. Okay. Let me fix this side. Okay. So we're coming back to the very first petal, and I need to add one more. Okay. And just make sure they're straight. Perfect. Alright. And so I actually used 7 petals for this row. Today might be my lucky day, people. I might actually be doing my rows just right today. Okay, so that is what it should look like. And like I said, whatever parts kind of stick out a little too much, just take a little glue, apply it there, press it down. Okay, and you don't want to press your whole rose down. Don't do that. Just get the bottom. Make sure the bottom is nice and firm there. So that is what the 4th row looks like. Isn't that nice? We're getting there. So at this point, you can actually stop making your rose, and you can just have a nice medium-sized rose, or you can add the last petals, which we're going to do, and it'll become a large rose. So I actually like to sometimes take my skewer and create a little space in here, like so. Alright. And notice my rose petal right here kind of cracked, and that's just because it was getting a little dry. And that's alright. It just adds a little bit more character. Don't freak out about those tiny little flaws. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the last row, and we will be done. Yay!